So, hello everyone. How are you doing? Awkward silence, nice. It's a good way to start this. I'm Sahin Cengiz, this is Marjaana Auranen, and we are from Red Stage Entertainment. And now I have to see how this works, which is the... Okay, so we are a gaming company from Tampere. We specialize in creative storytelling and video games. There's three of us who founded this company, although Ulla is at the moment in Tampere. She is the chief financial officer, but I'm the chief executive officer, and she is the chairman of the board. And we are at the moment developing our... Actually, is it this button? Yes, it's this button.
It is a button, yes.
It is a button.
Yeah.
We are developing our first video game, which is called Skabma Polar Night. And it's the first video game addressing the indigenous Sami mythologies.
And in case of some of you don't know who Sami are, they are the only indigenous people living inside in the European Union, far, far north, up there. And if you thought up there, go higher. They are there, somewhere. About 100,000 of us living in 4 states, Russia, Finland, Sweden, and Norway. And estimatedly 9 different languages, and all endangered. What else? Reindeers.
And we are here to talk about the challenges of converting Sami mythology into a video game. First, of course, we have to simply ask ourselves, what do we know about this subject? Marjaana is Sami herself, so we kind of have an insider in this.
Yeah.
So does that mean we know everything already?
Sadly, no. We are not walking and talking Wikipedias of our cultures, so I don't know much of my culture, let's face it. I don't know the language, for example. And when we started making this game, we first did the drafts of our main character. And sadly, because I'm not a handicraft person, I'm just making my first dress, Sami dress. So I didn't know all the patterns and all the meanings of the patterns.
And there's something important we really wanted to not stumble upon, which of course is cultural stereotypes. And this is something we, in a way, actually thought maybe it's a good thing to use, because stereotypes are not inherently a bad thing. But is it the right course of action for us, for this game, for this completely unknown culture for many people?
Okay. So here you can see the first build of our game. And what is sadly and badly wrong in this image is that this character is wearing a woman's hat, but men's clothing. That is a big no-no in Sami culture. At the moment, we don't know. In the future, maybe it's okay, hopefully, but at the moment, no. And the next one is our development of our character, Ailu, there. So on the left, you can see the man, woman, Ailu. And then the second one was still a very stereotypical image. We Sami have the Sami dress. It is called kakti. And to us, it is like a second skin. And it contains so much information. It contains the information, where are we from, what family we are from, are we married, are we not, and all these details. And every family have their own. And if you accidentally take up these patterns, you are stealing from them, and they get really angry. And that is what we don't want to do. So
slowly, our character evolved. It became our own, something we can be proud of, as well as the style of the game, the art style, from left to right, you'll see like what has happened since the beginning of development. But thinking about clothing and the patterns, the decorations, that is pretty much just the beginning of the challenges of this subject. So, yes.
The sad thing about Sami culture is that there isn't so much books about Sami mythology, and the knowledge is fading by the day. So the interesting thing is that the first book written by Sami person about Sami culture was just 100 years ago.
Everything before that was outsiders, explorers, like French poets and patronizing priests. Every information about the Sami culture.
So they'd be writing about the Sami culture from above, from the outside. So we have to really consider that when we are writing this game and these characters.
And the culture is full of interesting characters, stories, everything. But all of this information is very, very varied, let's say. Let's take this big guy here who is called Stallu, who is a man-eating giant. And this character is sometimes told to transform into a bear. But in other regions, it's described as a pile of moving dirt and sticks. We also found like this very Santa Claus-like version of Stallu who wears all red and, you know, takes naughty children and drinks Coca-Cola and something like, well, okay, not the last one, but it is really like distracting because you find all these different versions of literally every single character or every single story here. This affects not just the characters, also the small folk tales we find. For example...
Yeah, let's take the end of the world story. It is called Celestial Hunt in Sami mythology. And Celestial Hunt goes that this Sarvis, white reindeer here, travels across the skies, and if it is killed, then the world will die. And in other parts of Samiland, Sarvis is not a reindeer, it is a moose.
And sometimes the way how the world ends is the sky falling. Sometimes it's a firestorm. So we are making a video game, like we have to have a clear image. What are we like actually modeling? What are we doing? We can't just go through all this. And there's the big question we kind of had, like, you know, how should this be put together?
How can we pick?
And we really had a simple solution in a way, which is we started creating a new world of our own, storyline of our own, where we started seeing like how does this version of this story or this character fit into our story. This is a creative tool, you know. It's a way of thinking about this and trying to see what fits together. And we have to think about this also with all of the game mechanics.
Thank you for stealing my lines.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We are constantly asking this question for ourselves: how can this mythology can be transferred into a game mechanics? So how this version of a character can be used in a boss battle? Like Stallu has this invisible dog. So how cool is that in a boss battle? Have an invisible dog. And then
different from the one with dirt and sticks, you know.
Yep. And of course you are going to wonder what tool you are going to use to battle against Stallu. And lucky in Sami mythology, there is a shaman drum. That's the best thing ever. And the shamanism, it is a different story. It is also a little bit tricky one. But in this case, we saw the shamanism as a part of the game mechanic so important. Firstly, it is because the shamanism was almost wiped out in the 18th century. The second one, the drum, was the tool the shaman used to travel between spirits world, battle against enemies, heal people, and all this cool stuff that can be...
It's an obvious choice for us. In a way, well, it turned out to be obvious for us to use a drum as a weapon and for everything else too. But this is simply just, this is the beginning. Like any creative work, you are making decisions. There's always endless options. But for us, it's just the beginning because it's not enough to just choose. We actually have to kind of go through a feedback loop here.
Yeah. As I said, one Sami person cannot know everything. So we have to constantly ask the Sami community and other Samis, how do they see things? Because other families have other stories, and my family have this story, and they are colliding, and we have to make this, find a solution.
And prepare to explain everything. Sometimes, like, you know, we could be doing something else for our first game, especially because this is a really long and hard journey to go through this kind of a undertaking as indigenous teams. We could be, you know, taking a, like Viking mythology, that's more known to people.
Or Greek mythology.
Or make a battle royale mobile game. You know, something. But we realized something. we kind of realized something during these challenges. That we were finding these new ways of telling these stories, which is the core of the Sami storytelling tradition. And it happened almost accidentally.
Yeah. The Sami storytelling tradition is that you gather around the campfire with your family during the dark winter times. There's nothing else to do, really. And then you hear these stories and tell these...
Time and again.
And difference with who is talking the story, who is speaking the story, or where the story is told. So the stories vary a lot. So of course they are conflicting, because it is always your grandmother who battled against Tallu.
Right.
Not hers, it's mine. So we changed the stories a little bit. Of course, it's a.
So we kind of have, time is running out.
Okay.
We kind of had this moment, of course, because this was such a challenging subject, that why are we doing this? And what was interesting was finding the solution inside the culture, finding the way of telling these stories inside the culture, from within. It was something we believe that any indigenous theme should be, if it's made into a game or a film or whatever, this should be taken into account.
And the answers comes from the culture. And why are we making this? It's not about us, really. It's about the Sami culture. And like I told, the stories are fading. It is like the last moments to get these stories into a form that younger generation understands and respects.
Because the Sami culture, Sami people, they are not in a museum yet, so it is actually okay to keep on evolving the stories. It is how we should do it. Because, like, clearly you can see Sami people are not dead yet.
I guess so. Yeah. So, we'd love to end this speak for the quote that we found. It is from Declaration of Indigenous Cinema, written by Åsa Simma and Darling Johnson. And it summarizes the reason why it is so important to use these themes and not to be afraid of using indigenous themes.
So, through screen storytelling, heal our wounds. Through modern screen expression, carry our stories to those not yet born. That is why we are doing this. And this is where we thank you for listening.
Thanks.
We do have time for questions, so guys, fire away. Hey.
A great presentation, guys. Do you have a release date?
What?
Release date. Well, no, it's still a bit on the way, so we will see. Other thing I would like to show here is a trailer, but we seriously just couldn't finish a new trailer now. Although you can go to our website, see every information we have already public. So, redstage.fi.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Getting there.
Hi guys, that was really beautiful thing that you chosen this kind of genre. Do you know already how was this received in terms of the trailer with the Sami people? Do you have any feedback?
Yes, we have had, and they are super excited, especially the youngest generation. They were like, "Oh my God, you are doing an AAA game about Sami," and we were, "Okay, are we?"
Wait a minute.
Really? But yes, it has been. Of course, there are questions, many questions, because we have chosen this topic, and because it is so sensitive, and there is a risk of cultural appropriation. So, yeah, many questions, but every time we answer, they are like, "Okay, that's cool."
Yeah, it's been a really lovely journey, I'd say, because we have gotten great feedback so far.
There was another one, yes. Oh.
All right, thank you. This was really nice. I was wondering if this theme feels limiting in any way, that there's something you feel you can't explore since you are carrying the heavy burden of creating the first game about Sami people.
Yes, there are restrictions, of course, because in Sami culture there are taboos you cannot put inside a game, and you can, but you don't want to get the feedback from the community. So,
you don't want the negative feedback.
But it is also brings a challenge that makes you think outside the box how we are going to use. If we cannot do this way, how can we go around that? But it's all about respecting the culture and the rules that are inside the culture. So yes, we are trying to make it as respectfully as we can, but also creating something new, because it is balancing with old and new. How do you preserve the culture, but at the same time you evolve the culture?
There was 2 more. I'll go here and then there. Okay.
Nice presentation and all. You did pique my interest enough to ask what the gameplay is about, since you know it's a game. I'd like to know. I'm just hoping it's not a walking simulator. That's what.
No, not a walking simulator. That would be an interesting way of
I
doing
think
it.
it's the drumming simulator.
The drumming simulator. Yeah, the drum creates this, let's say, a rhythmic way of playing the game, and there are puzzles. It's an adventure game if we just comprise it to something. And there's puzzle and there's boss battle, there's enemies, and hopefully in just some time now you will actually see, and I will not explain too much at the moment because we are working on a first. Actually, we have one trailer, but you saw the image there where we had the evolution. Everything kind of on our website at the moment is about the middle part, and it has evolved since then. But puzzles and combat.
And one last question.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a fantastic presentation, and really, really pleased to see another culture, a younger generation talking about their culture and using storytelling. And about the storytelling, what did you find you learned about Sami storytelling as a game developer?
Well, we've been learning a lot of things. Actually, I think finding, every story kind of like all around the world, they have similarities, of course, but I really believe that there are some unique stories there. Something that really deserves to be put in a game format, because, well, for us, video games are probably the most versatile way of telling a story. So that's why we want to do this, not as a film, not as something else, but as a video game. What else have we learned?
Nothing.
That's all.
Sorry,
that's all, folks.
That's not official. That's not official. Let's not put it in press.
It's being
There's nothing to
filmed.
see
It's
here.
gonna be on YouTube afterwards.